Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
In today's podcast, we're covering the second season of the anime Fire Force, which takes quite the strange turn.
Now, this show supposedly continues
Supposedly.
Shinra's mission to rescue his brother's show from the White Clad and finding some third-generation fire wielders. But when the show returns, it kind of does everything but sticks to the plot.
Right. And before we start with that, be sure to like, subscribe, and occasionally give us a future podcast and one-of-pause video.
Absolutely. Now, first of all, the animation returns. The fantastic animation returns as it was. All our characters returned, and none were killed off. We're happy. And we got to see the premiere of Zena Robinson's character,
Yes.
Algon Montgomery.
Yes.
And his character was fantastic with some awesome firepower.
Right.
And unfortunately, after that, we don't see him anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if this was part of the manga or maybe they weren't caught up yet and they decided to go with an anime original thing because it seemed like he was meant to be there way longer. A lot of stuff was probably meant to be there or wasn't. The thing about finding his brother is just dropped completely until the end of the season.
Right, so starting off the season, it had a hilarious couple of beginning episodes. They had a men's calendar. Yes, it was hilarious. They had male fan service with the guys making the firemen's calendar.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious because, yes, they were naked. You didn't see their privates. And there were some hilarious moments, including one of Rascal's favorites.
Snake. Cobra. It gets them every time. And you still lost.
They're all competing about which one thinks they're the best looking for the calendar. And it was hilarious. It was fun. And we should have known that this was going to be a precursor to crap that was going to hit the fan. Because, as you've always said, when you have an episode that's full of hilarity and fun and just you can do nothing but laugh hysterically, it's going to turn to... It's gonna get dark the next episode.
Yeah.
And that's what began happening after the first two episodes, when you have the introduction of a blonde character who possesses people, a female character, another female character who can sense fires, and she's crazy as hell, and she likes to watch these things burn. And she has two characters with her that eventually is no spoiler, she ends up killing because she's really crazy. You have Shinra, who sounds like he's trying to get back into his groove of being able to use his power.
Right.
You have them looking for the original creators of what now we understand is supposed to be a religion within the show. And you have them, there's a couple more arcs going on.
Yeah, it's too many arcs.
Yeah.
There are so many things going on in the show. We're surprised this thing even had a coherent season. There was a point, it looks like it was going somewhere when they went to China and they were having where these animals were actually like parked in front. They had gained intelligence and some firepower. And they have a tabernacle, but it was starting to kill off the animal life in the area. And this talking mole wants their help to get rid of it because the infernals were just killing off everything in their sights. But after they solve that, nothing else happens. Bunch of random things happen just about every episode. No other arcs are ever introduced beyond that. You think they're going to have something about the past of the White Clad, about Joker, about the chief of another company who knows about Shinra's mother and brother but refuses to tell him anything. It brings all these things up, but then they go nowhere.
And I forgot about, I'm glad you mentioned that, the big, huge guy in white that's part of the White Clad, who Shinra seems not to be able to beat, no one seems to be able to beat. It's just too much going on. And he went from being a really high-profile, powerful character last season to this season not being able to do much of anything, and it's not explained why that happened. We know he had the showdown with his own brother, and then the ones who took him away and rescued him and hurt Shinra, but that doesn't mean that this season he should be powerless, which to us makes absolutely no sense.
Right. As you said, he fights against this giant guy who's, I guess, like the Luke Cage of the show.
He reminds me of Sparky Boom.
Yeah, exactly. He talks too much. And the thing is that his skin is supposed to be impenetrable. And they really took it seriously, because no matter what Shinra did, even with unleashing his ultimate move of look like a giant volcano went off, the guy's still standing and still knocks him out. Nothing beats him. None of the heroes ever beat him. He's literally unbeatable. They just have to he either walks away, or they tell him, okay, back off, we gotta go. And none of the characters ever beat him, and there's never anyone that can match up to him. So making this invincible character is really kind of bad, because no matter how strong Shinra or somebody gets, he's unstoppable. You made him unbeatable, and it made him an uninteresting villain because there's no weakness to him.
True. Now, there were some really good parts of this season. I thought you were going to mention your favorite part.
Oh, yes, I will.
Okay.
Yes, I will. We get into that part. The one part of the arc, right?
Dirt.
Yes,
okay.
I am going to say it.
All right. So, there were some good parts. We saw that we get to find out why the children were being kidnapped.
Right.
And why they were having their fire powers, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Increased for a particular purpose that we don't want to spoil for.
They're looking for these third generation type ones.
And so that's being revealed, so you understand that. And then you also see that, give me a second. Go ahead and do the dirt.
Okay, well, the dirt. Okay, I'll explain it quickly. During the arc where they go to China and find this tabernacle, a lot of the people in Company 8 really don't like being on the water. I guess they're getting seasick. So
fireworks are going. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So they end up getting kind of seasick, and they miss being on land. They didn't like being on the boat. So when they get to China and they land, they start kissing the ground over and over again. It's, oh, this land is so great. It doesn't look like being on land. He said, it's even better here than it was there. And then he says, I wonder if the dirt tastes better. And he puts some dirt. He said, nah, it still tastes like dirt.
And you can hear gold coming through. So yes, that was a great part. Oh my gosh, we've seen it over and over. And you also see the growth of Arthur's character.
Yes.
Where he's beginning to be able to use his powers more effectively. You know how he has to imagine himself as being a knight.
Right.
But now he really does it quickly. He's more confident. He's more badass this season.
Yes.
There's no other way to put
They
it.
even have like a mini part of the story where they explain briefly, like it hasn't been revealed completely, but they explain why he has the mentality and why he has to believe he's a knight for the powers to work. It's more psychological, having to do with his family. So he must believe he's a knight, and you can't break that wall or else it all falls apart.
Right. Now also you have another side story to develop later in the season with Tamaki, and we found out that one of the company's head people is her brother, which we didn't know. And then this thing happens that kind of doesn't make any sense, where when people start getting killed, the dad doesn't want her working with the company anymore outside in the field. He wants her behind a desk, so she ends up getting behind the desk, but she really doesn't want to be there. And then something happens where she ends up proving that she's capable, so that she can come out from behind the desk and get back on the field. And was kind of like, as you mentioned, was this part of the actual manga, or was this specifically for the anime? Because it seemed not to develop the story.
Yeah, and from what I was seeing online when they announced season 3, at the time they announced it last year, the manga was coming to an end. But as you're seeing this now, the manga is over. So we still don't know how far was the story in the manga for them to do this. Was this really jumbled up in the manga, or did the anime figure needed more time to let the story progress, and they decided to have a bunch of different things happen that didn't amount to much because they had to wait for more chapters to be printed?
That's possible. Now, we've only read some of the beginning volumes, and we haven't been able to read fully to know, but at some point, hopefully, we'll get to read the entire manga series, so we'll know what took place within the book, or what was Disneyed, and they just made up the anime itself.
Yeah.
But, again, overall, Season 1 was fantastic and brilliant beginning to end.
Yes.
For me, this season, I would probably rate it like 3.5 stars.
Yeah,
and I hope that
unfortunately.
Season 3 is better. Of course, we're going to stick with it. We love Shinra. We love Alga Montgomery, we love Arthur, and we love some other characters. And we really want to find out what's going to end up happening with the Infernals, and how now knowing that this was a religion, and the explanation of it lines up so much with parts of religion in the real world, and even with some Egyptian mythology of Ra, the sun god, so it gets kind of weird.
Yeah.
We want to see where it goes, even though we weren't exactly excited about some of the things that happened in the season.
Yeah.
We still want to see season 3 and see where it goes. And of course, we're really hoping that Shinra gets back his brother Shaw.
Right. And last thing,
and takes down that blonde, crazy, possessing cow.
Yes. And last thing definitely gotta mention is that there is an odd increase in fan service. Fire Force had fan service in the first place, but it was done for comedy. Tamaki, it was, they say it was a curse, and stuff would happen, and they wouldn't know how it happened. It would go to black, and next thing you know, something inappropriate happened. They say, I didn't even do anything. I didn't touch you. I didn't go near you, and the stuff would happen, and they would just brush it off. And that would be the hilarious part. Just like, okay, this is just normal. We need to ignore it. But now they put so much emphasis and effort. There was an entire episode dedicated to the fan service happening on loop over and over again. The guy trying to build immunity to the fan service.
And then they show you how he builds the immunity. And it's like, really?
It's
like, they need to put this in here?
Yeah.
When they did it in Assassination Classroom with Koro Sensei, it was hilarious. It wasn't graphic. You got a lot of what was inferred, and you knew this fool, what he was doing in his private time that you didn't know, and you find out, hey, you've got some little human tendencies here, and it was hilarious. But in this episode, the way it was particularly handled, it wasn't.
Right,
and
it wasn't
this is
funny.
one of the few times that I agree with a lot of people who don't like the amount of fan service that can be attributed to an anime. This particular episode, I could have done without.
Yeah,
and it's not that we're prudish. It's not that we don't find it hilarious. Because most of the time we do. It's just this particular episode
just didn't do it right.
Didn't do it.
And it's weird, strange, because season 1 did it fantastically. You didn't mind it because it was done for a joke.
Right.
They knew when to stop. Here it's just like they went ballistic and just tried to put in as much fan service as possible with no rhyme or reason. It wasn't even for comedy anymore.
So our hopes is that it'll get back to the main arcs, that we'll have more story, that Shinra will get back to being himself, and that we'll get more answers that we should have gotten this season, but we didn't.
Right.
So if you've seen Fire Force Season 2, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with us that it was lacking versus season 1? Could have been better, or were you really happy with it? And if so, what about it made you really excited about this season? And if you haven't watched Fire Force, start with season 1, which is excellent. Get to season 2. It's really a great anime. You should give it a try.
Right.
It comes on Toonami. When it does air, it comes on Funimation first, and then after so many weeks, it airs on Toonami every Saturday. So one way or the other, give it a watch.
Right. And be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification with the updates on future podcasts and Roll the Pause videos.
Absolutely. Also, just like MHA, it comes out the day after airing on Funimation on Hulu on the next day.
Right. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Oscar Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.